All right, for today's video review, we're going to start taking a look at our Hasbro Pulse Con exclusive for 2024. This is the Dinoforce, of course, the combiner team that combines to make Dino King, who, if you're not familiar, was a Japanese original character who was originally they were like retools of the Pretender Shell Monstructor team, whereas I think all the individual like actual robots were the same molds with different colors, but the shells were replaced with, instead of the like monster modes, they were replaced with dinosaur modes. And these guys, of course, are just repaints / slight retools of the core class Dinobots that we got in Legacy Evolution. So they're a bit changed from what they originally were, kind of as all of the like the updated Pretender guys are kind of having to contend with. So there's some inaccuracy issues, but by and large, they're decent representations of the original characters. Now, these guys showed up as characters in Transformers Victory. Really, the only ones that had like significant characters were Goryu, the leader, and Kukuryu, the he was like the comic relief character of one of the comic relief characters of the show, and the other four were just kind of background characters. But of course, they did all combine to make Dino King, but they didn't really have their own personalities all that much, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, it is cool to get new versions of these characters. I do have my gripes, and I do think that they are a little bit too samey to the core class Dinobots, but either way, it is cool to finally get a new version of this character, since this is literally the first new, like Dino King that we've gotten since G1. And like, good luck getting a G1 Dino King, because it was like a Japanese exclusive, set. Yeah, I'm just going to take a look at these guys individually. So for today's video, I'm just going to take a look at Goryu, the leader here, who is the Grimlock retool, obviously. So I'm just going to take all of this stuff off to the side and just leave him with his kind of only assigned weapon here, which is just this club. The rest of the stuff all has designated spots to go on the rest of them. And yeah, he makes an okay little T-Rex mode here. I do wish that they resculpted the dinosaur mode head to look more like, his Pretender Shell head with like the spikes on top of it, rather than just being a straight up repaint of Grimlock. Like, I do appreciate that they like painted this section silver to make it look a little bit different, but he does look very Grimlocky, which is a little bit unfortunate. He does come with this club weapon, which in terms of storage, I guess, I haven't even tried this. Yeah, no, I didn't think it fit on there. I think what you're supposed to do for storage is just take out the combiner port here, which can be a little bit tricky to actually get out of there. Come on. Jeez. It's not like a great place to like really grab it in this mode. Let's see if we can wedge that underneath there. There we go. And then it just has a hole on the side here, so you can just peg it on like that and just have it like that on his back, which is not great storage, but these guys are like, I want them to be as different from the Dinobots as they can be, so I don't mind them actually having like little weird weapons pegged onto the side of them. But yeah, he's okay in terms of articulation. The head can bob up and down, and he's got ball joints at the hips here, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess they can also bend in for transformation, but it's not really useful in this mode. But yeah, he's okay. He's one of the ones who I feel like in dinosaur mode had a bit more of an identity in the show, but at least he gets away with the fact that like his inner core robot and his like Pretender Shell were the same color, whereas most of them weren't. So at least he's a green T-Rex, which is what he's supposed to be. But I do sort of wish he had the spikes on his head there. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see. I mean, these guys really should have been like deluxe size, I would think, at least to be scaling properly with like modern figures. But I guess I get that Dino King is kind of a like obscure enough character that they wouldn't want to waste 6 deluxe slots on doing a new Dino King unless they were like already doing like deluxe Dinobots or something. So I don't know, but that's what they look like together. For a core class comparison, here he is with Kingdom Vertebrate, just so you can see what he looks like with another dinosaur there. Here he is with Studio Series 86 Grimlock, who I'm not going to transform to robot mode because I don't want to do that for all of these guys. But yeah, you can see how they look there. Obviously, he looks very samey to Grimlock aside from the colors, which is a bit unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. And then I'll show him off with Death Source in robot mode just because he really didn't have a whole lot of screen time in Dino mode with Death Source. Although it was weird because they did the Pretender Shell thing, basically in like the Japanese media, the ones that did the Pretender Shells, like they would like leave their Pretender Shells and turn into their robot modes, and then he would like ride the dinosaur basically all the time. Like that's how he was most of the time in the show, was his robot riding the dinosaur mode. He barely ever turned into his like alt mode, as in just combining with the like dinosaur. And they never showed off their like inner shell robots in their like alt mode because they always just turned into the dinos. So it was always kind of like a weird thing. So I guess, you know, when push comes to shove, I do kind of prefer them as not being pretenders and just like turning into their dino modes. But like I said, for a lot of them, that's a little bit rough because all of the dinosaur modes were green in the show and in the original toys because they were the Pretender Shells, whereas only 2 of them were actually green robots. So, you know, but at least Goryu kind of gets away with it. And he was really the most prominent of the 6 of them as a character in the show. But yeah, to get into transformation, just take off his weapon, put away the combiner peg there. He also comes with another weapon, which just makes the end of his tail here, his like big chunky tail. So we'll just take that off. And then you can take the legs here. They will untab, rotate them down, and then separate them there. Just rotate the forearms 90 degrees there to reveal the hands. Take these sections here and just untab them and bring this whole section around like that and just leave it on his back. And you could leave it like that if you want. I usually take these because they're on ball joints that attach up here and just rotate those down because he really doesn't have like the Grimlock like wings. So, you know, I just rotate those down. Then the combiner peg is kind of a stiff joint, thankfully. So that just rotates down. And there we have Goryu in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks pretty good. I do think that, you know, he like when you're starting to look at like the individual details of the robot mode, he doesn't really look like the original toy, obviously. Like he really does have more Grimlocky details. But I do appreciate that they gave him a new head sculpt there, which looks pretty nice. It's like really loose on mine, but it's such a small part that does not really bother me at all. Now, unfortunately about these guys, the big thing that has always been my sticking point with the core class Dinobots, and honestly the reason that I didn't get any of the core class Dinobots, like I don't have, these are my first exposures to all of these molds just because I didn't really want the core class Dinobots, is 4 out of the 6 of them don't have elbows at all, which really bums me out. And people are like, "Oh, what can you expect? It's a core class." I'm like, I actually expected them to be quality figures like every other core class that had been released up until this point. My bad, but whatever. I don't know. It's, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just going to keep it in Dino King most of the time, and I can live with it, but it does bum me out that, like, especially for him, because, like, his forearms are 2 different parts, so I don't really see why these had to be mushroom pegs rather than just, like, ball joints. Like, he could have had elbows. It wasn't, like, saving on any parts or anything like that, but whatever. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head can swivel there. Shoulders are on ball joints, which can rotate around. He also does, because of transformation to combine mode, have this, like, inward-facing butterfly joint, which is interesting. He only has a swivel at the elbows, like I mentioned, no bend. Hips are on ball joints, which can rotate forward and go back and go out to the side. Knees are on ball joints. Plenty of ball joints. They just couldn't have done them at the elbows. I don't know. Gives him a pretty deep knee bend there, and then also gives him a thigh swivel as well. So yeah, that's it. Aside from the lack of elbows, he's a decently articulated little guy here. Now, when it comes to his weapons, obviously you can give him his big club weapon here, which is, it's good to see that he came with that, because as I remember in the show, he was mostly just like holding his weapon all the time. And then you can use this bit as like a weird little gun, I guess, sort of. You'd sort of think by like how awkward this piece is that it would be like a combined mode piece or something, but it's not. It's just stupid looking for the sake of, I guess. Like it could have been a fully, you know, like finished off end of the tail, but in terms of storage for this stuff, for this bit you can just, you know, use the same storage that he had in alt mode using the combined mode peg there, just like that. This bit, unfortunately, it doesn't really have anywhere to store like that is super proper. I mean, you could, I guess, peg it into the like club if you have it back there, but if you want them just holding the club, there's not really anywhere this can go because it doesn't even have a peg hole to be attached to that. What I personally do is I just plug it on here onto his knee and call it a day. And that looks pretty stupid, but you know, a lot of the weird Japanese designs had kind of like stupid aesthetics anyway. So like, it doesn't bother me all that much. It's not very elegant. I wish it could store on his back, but I don't think it looks very good as a gun, and I'd rather just be somewhere else. So that's where I personally choose to put it. But yeah, and yeah, I'm gonna show off the combined mode like when I do a separate video to show off Dino King, so I'm gonna skip that for now. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Goryu here. I guess I have to do comparisons in this mode, for comparisons in this mode, just for the standard ones, here he is again with Sideswipe and with Vertebrake there, just so you can see what he looks like with an average core and deluxe class figure, pretty much an average core class figure. And here he is with what's his name, Deathsaurus, just so you can see what the two of them look like together. Obviously not fully fitting on, and scale wise I do think that Goryu should be a bit bigger, but Deathsaurus was truly enormous in the show, so like it kind of works. I mean, he doesn't scale like Dino King does not scale at all with Deathsaurus or with, you know, Victory Saber or anything like that. But, you know, as like a little minion groveling at Deathsaurus's feet, that it kind of works. But, you know, the scale is obviously quite a bit off, but for having any representation of these characters, it's, you know, worth something. But, yeah, I'm going to show them off together in their robot modes kind of like as we go along, so I don't have to like continuously transform all 6 of them back and forth. But that's pretty much all there is to Goryu. He's like, I don't know, one of my favorites, but I think that's mostly just by virtue of the fact that he's, you know, a character that I have any attachment to, whereas most of them kind of aren't. But yeah, he's okay. Really, my main sticking point with this guy and with most of the other ones is just lack of elbows. But other than that, he's a fun little decent-ish figure. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Our next several videos are going to be taking a look at these little Dinoforce guys, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, without further ado, here we have Transformers Legacy United Goryu.